Round 3 of the MNRC Series is back at Full Throttle Raceway in Foley, Minnesota. This is Seth Vandalen's home track, literally, and is where he grew up and refined his racing skills. FTR is located in rural central Minnesota and is surrounded by farm fields and animal habitat. A perfect place to light up a bunch of nitro cars without disturbing the neighbors. It's qualifying day, and Alec is out chasing down fast laps with his team-associated T4. One of his closest competitors and friends, Torian Mitchell, is running quick also and clearing the way. Why don't we take a closer look at Sean's layout this year? The guys just headed down the front stretch by pit lane and will need to navigate a 180 turn through the center double jumps and ending with a bold turn. A common feature at FTR are sets of doubles which are not straight on, and a steering correction is needed before jumping the second. After the bold turn, there is some agitation bumps prior to the S-curve sections of the infield. One of the S-curves in particular is off camber, and is a section where you can easily lose time if you don't keep it tight. On the tail end of the S-curves, there is a short chute with an elevation rise to a corner, followed by a step off or drop in. The drop in leads to a quick double and a slow sweeping corner. Getting smooth rotation around the sweeper is critical to set you up for another set of Sean's corner rhythm doubles. These doubles also require steering correction in the middle, with a nice kicker before entering the back stretch. The high-speed backstretch ends with a flying jump onto an elevated corner, which could be easily overjumped, sending you wide. A double jump off the plateau spills out into a braking zone sweeper before finishing out the lap in the pit lane chicane. Carter is here with his team-associated T4 powered by an OS engine. He is looking quite fast in this qualifier as he whips through the pit lane chicane. See how that off-camber corner is causing the rear ends to lose traction. Finding the right amount of speed and the best line through there will be a challenge. David Ohm is in this qualifier and is running in the 4th position behind the young guns. Dave is one of the founding fathers of the series, which began way back in 2002. Here is Caden Hinds, running Sean's practice truck. It looks like he is needing a little needle adjustment on the ultimate powered techno. Zach Vandalen is racing this weekend. He is Seth's, not so little, younger brother. He is quite an accomplished racer, just not as dedicated as Big Bro. Jordan Corton is putting in a ripper this round. He races quite a bit of 8th scale electric, so he knows how to put in a short aggressive sprint. Here is another one of the team-associated drivers, Tony Sletton. He had put the Trucky class on the shelf for quite a few years to focus on the buggies, but this year he has dropped back in. This is the techno of young gun Riley Myers. He has been showing great speed as he becomes more accustomed to the Nitro classes. He started out racing 1/10th scale buggies on the tight indoor clay tracks of the 510, which certainly taught consistency and throttle control. The wide open brute force tracks at Full Throttle Raceway are a little bit of a change from those days. Here are some rare shots of Corey Hinz, founder of the MNRC Series. He is normally found behind the cameras. This is his team-associated T4 with ultimate engine and sweep tires. Today we are hanging out in the Vandalen speed shop. Sean is going to take us through the process of engine resizing and some general maintenance tips.
Okay, so today we're going to be resizing Corey Hinz's Novorossi engine. He did me a favor of pulling the sleeve and piston out by himself. A lot of guys do that. A lot of guys just send me just the piston and sleeve. I can resize them doing just that. Or some guys send them to me complete. You know, send me the whole engine and I take it apart, clean it, resize it. All that info and stuff will be on our website that we're launching shortly. So you'll be able to order those services, send your motor in, and then we would send it back to you after it's complete. Missed it. I did one yesterday for Glenn and sent that out yesterday in yesterday's mail. So this one, Corey, the head button's kind of stuck in there, and it can happen. The oil and stuff kind of takes away some of the space that maybe was there over time, and the combustion burn kind of burns that in. So a lot of times you can just work it back and forth. I can hear it kind of click just a little bit. You're there, it's my fingers cracking, one of the two. But I can see that I'm gaining a little bit just by working it back and forth. And I spin it like 90 degrees and do that again. And it is, like you can see, I'm just getting a little bit, you know, I got 1.5 mil or so now, probably another 1.5 mil before it pops off. Usually the head buttons go down into the sleeve about 3 mil, 2.8 kind of seems to be a lot of the manufacturers. We'll measure that just for you guys here in a minute. Just taking a little bit of time here. This is what's really tough. You can hear it now clicking. There we go. Didn't want to explode and blow anything. So what I'll do is my caliper here, I'll take and measure that right there, that distance. And what that does, it just lets me know like where the piston should stop. This one's 3.66. So when we go to put the piston inside the sleeve, if we leave that measurement, the piston would never go above that. So that's how we can tell if the engine needs to be resized. If the piston goes above a 3.66, it's definitely too loose, the sleeve is. So first thing, we're going to clean the sleeve. I like to do everything dry because the oil can give you a false reading. So other things that that I look at is the the amount of combustion that you see on the side of the piston, this one really isn't bad. This part of the piston right here is a thou or two smaller than the rest of the piston. And what that is for is oil collects on that area instead of scraping against the sleeve. So it actually oils your sleeve on that hot side, which would be your exhaust side. So it keeps it oiled and keeps your piston from scoring. So when that carbon gets to be burnt up, this is getting built up pretty good. This needs to be cleaned. And that's what a lot of people don't, because if you don't clean that, then there isn't the right amount of oil on that, and there isn't enough oil during the piston combustion to keep it cool and to keep it lubricated. So that's one thing that if you're going to do this at home, you can clean this side of the piston, and we'll do it with like a gray Scotch-Brite or a white Scotch-Brite. Gray is like the equivalent to maybe 400 grit, somewhere around there. And we just put a little alcohol on it and just kind of rub it back and forth. Don't go scratching it this way, always go this way. Any scratches that you have in that aluminum going this direction, all it'll do is add oil and add CO to it. So some people get a little crazy when they see me go after it with a scouring pad like that, like, oh, you're going to scratch it. Yeah, I actually am going to scratch it, but it's not in a bad way. You know, it'll just help hold more oil and make the piston seal even better. So that's what these two ring lands are about. There really isn't rings there like a combustion engine. Typically that is actually an oil land where oil sits in that groove, and that creates your seal. Similar to like what this is. But this is actually to lubricate the hot side of the combustion or sleeve area. So we'll take and kind of dry this off. We're not going to clean it yet with any kind of alcohol or any abrasive. We're just going to kind of wipe it dry. We're going to get a base for this customer to see what their size, their true size of their sleeve is. And here we're going to clean the oil out of the inside of it. And this is something that even when I'm at the races with my camper, I have a 9-foot garage in the back of there. A lot of the local guys just come over, and I have a arbor press just like this mounted permanently in my camper, and I'm able to do that on site for customers right at the racetrack. I do travel with this one sometimes, depending on if we're driving. It's hard to do when we're flying, but yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the piston in, the orientation in the sleeve. So the skirt side is usually your exhaust side. So you line that up with your big port, which is your exhaust port. So I'll line that up, and then I'm going to kind of push it in until I get a hard stick. So I'll push it in until I get a hard stick. Now this one, I don't even have to measure. I can see right in this port. I don't know if Corey can see that. But the piston skirt is not covering the port. So that's telling me the piston's able to go farther up in the sleeve than it ever would inside the engine, which is telling me the size of the sleeve is too large. We can't really change the size of the piston, but we can change the size of the sleeve. We'll actually compress that. So what I'm going to do is, remember we were at a 366. I'll measure down. This is after a hard stick, and we're at a 241. So I don't have them yet, but I have new papers coming out that will have all this documentation for my customers on it. So 241 is what we measured is our start. So that just lets you know how loose your motor was when you get it back from me. So this one, we're definitely going to have to resize. We're not going to work on any cleaning just of yet. We want to get a true resize on that, because sometimes when you clean it, it can you know, stick in the sleeve a little bit differently. So we want to get an accurate thing. So this right here is my master set of pin gauges. I don't do a lot of Novarossis. I just did one for Glenn and sent that out. But this one I'm not sure of the diameter, so I'm actually going to measure it and see what it is. This is a 16.39. So that's very similar to like an MXS or a Drake engine. So that would be like a 644 maybe. Yeah, see, a 644 goes through. So what I'll do is I'm going to keep this out, but a 644, this drops. And what I do is I find the one that it doesn't drop. So I go through they're just starting to get a little resistance. So this one it probably won't go. Oh, it does. So that's interesting. Okay, there we go. You see that it stopped? It just started to catch. So there we go. So there, like in that, like if you can get right down in there, you can see where the combustion burn is. That line, you never want to clean that off. Like we're talking about cleaning the piston. You don't ever want to clean that because that gives you a complete combustion seal. But you can see this stops right at that. So like that's right where the wear of the piston was, and then that part of the sleeve is much smaller. So this one we know, now we know it's this one, which is a 646. Now this one, I know from doing this, it's going to do no good to run through my shim heights or, you know, in my pinch system that I offer. So we can talk about that a little more too, because I do actually have these manufactured and sell them. Okay, so we decided that it wasn't a 646. It was not a 646, so this is the next size smaller, 645. So 645 slides through nice, but you know, these we probably won't get down to. Usually it's 2 or 3 at the most. So I'm going to put these 2 back in so we don't get them confused. That's a 642, 641, 642. So it should be a 643, a 644, and a 645. So we started out with the 241, so we're going to use the 645 pin gauge. You can buy these separately through Amazon. The vendors have them. This little push block has a magnet in it, and it goes right on top of there. It holds that pin from falling out the bottom of the sleeve. So this is going to take quite a bit of force. You'll see me kind of grab the bottom of the table and kind of give it everything I got. Now this is a half-ton arbor press, so it's really not hurting anything. It's just giving, kind of enables me to give it as much force as I can and just leave it. So with a 645, knowing that this is the first one that slips through, I can't guarantee that we're going to make progress. We might go through all of these. Say I did this with no shim, and then we might increase these shims and do that same process, and we might not gain, just because that pin might be just too large. And that's okay. That's okay, because that's better than the other way around. So, and this I did gain. I can see that I gained. So that was just one little squeeze that we did to it, and I can see that there's no opening here anymore where the exhaust port is in the back of the piston. So I'll go ahead and I'll measure this again. And that measures a 362. Now remember, we were a 366 measurement on the head button. So we're still not quite right where we'd want to be sizing. Now I do this about 2 or 3 times and take that average measurement, because sometimes, you know, push it a little bit differently or whatever, or get it lined up perfectly and it goes up in. That was a 371. So this is kind of a process. You know, it just doesn't happen, you know. Some motors are easier. Yeah, it's 368. So I'm going to say it was a 368. So we're at a 368. That was with a .64545, and it was with no shim. And I send this paperwork with my customer all the time. So the head button measured a 366. So, and now what we'll do is we'll take the piston back out, we'll put one shim, put the sleeve back in, and the same 645. We'll put the magnet on here to hold that, and we'll do it again. Now you might gain a lot, depending on how this engine wore. We might gain pretty fast. So now we'll repeat that again, line this all back up. Yeah, we definitely gained. So right now we're at a 508. So a good running engine is anywhere from about a 440 to 50. Some guys like about a 520 on there. Every engine is different too. Like I don't do enough of the Novarasi's to really be able to tell you. I do know that like the MXRs, 420 to 440 is usually where you want them to give back to your customer. Yeah, that's a 504. So we might be done right now. That might be all it takes. Might be a very easy job. So lining that back up, give it a hard push. We're at 504, 508, 510. So yeah, so we're right at it right now. So we're at 645 with we're at, what is it, 5, so it'd be 508 with the number 1 shim that we send in the kit. So this motor now is probably going to run good right at where we're at. So I'm not going to size any more than I have to. Now I'm going to do some cleaning on it. So like Corey removed this, so I'm not sure how this came out or how it does, but it does get some carbon buildup from time to time and inside the ports, and all that stuff makes a difference. So what I do is I take a little electronic cleaner. This is safe for anything. I mean, it doesn't smell bad. It's not like brake clean where it knocked me out in this small garage. So it's just like alcohol in a compressed can. So I'll take this gray Scotch-Brite and I'll just kind of go around and just kind of clean that oil residue kind of build up off of the sleeve. And that just kind of allows the ports to work more efficiently and work, like they were intended to. So, and it takes a little bit of time. So, I mean, if Corey cuts this out and shows you the end product, then at least you didn't have to listen to me the whole time. So, we're not going to do the inside of the sleeve at all. Like I said, you want to leave that carbon buildup right around the top. That gives you a full compression seal. But I will try and get down in the ports just a little bit and clean that stuff off. Any kind of carbon, anything that's built up in there. These engines are so small, so any kind of contaminants that you remove from that port actually does have an effect. So because the engines are so small that the little bit of debris that is in there does cause an impedance. So it's good to get it all cleaned out and kind of start fresh. And I do this for pretty much all the motors that I resize. I go through and clean that, get that back to new, or as back to new as we can. Clean it one more time on the outside. Kind of buff that. Really doesn't hurt the brass at all. It just kind of cleans off that oil residue carbon. Kind of makes it a little easier to slide into the engine a lot of times. It'll slide back in nicer. So we'll take and clean that off. Now we're going to clean that piston. Now there is some guys say to clean the top of the piston, other guys say absolutely don't clean the top of the piston ever. Now I will say that I can agree with both of those guys, but I will honestly tell you that if the top of your piston has carbon to the point where it's able to be flaked off with your fingernail, that carbon's able to be flaked off during a compression cycle. Now that can go through the side of your piston and score it. So I like to clean it when it's, like this amount of carbon that Corey has on here is fine. It's not coming off with my fingernail. I'm not going to clean that off. That's actually going to add to the compression ratio or lessen your squish. So we're going to leave that there because that's actually performance advantage, and it's not to the point where it's detrimental yet. So once it gets to that point, I will clean that off because we don't want that carbon going through the engine and causing any damage. So but right now, it's good. Should be good for quite a while, a couple gallons at least. So I got kind of the rod kind of wiped down, as best I could. And now that that carbon that I talked about on the lower part of the piston skirt is actually building up and not allowing as much oil to be setting there. So I'll take a little area of the Scotch-Brite and kind of wet that down, and I'll just kind of clean that part of the piston. I'm not looking to clean the whole thing, not looking to try and make the piston smaller by working it for very long, but you can see that worked very, very fast. Very, very fast. So a little bit of cleaner, a little bit of that, a little bit of elbow grease, and that now brings that size of that piston skirt back down to where it is, where it can hold oil and actually lube that hot side of the combustion. So typically these are really, really fine oil grooves, so I'm going to need to grab my X-Acto knife and put a fresh blade in it for this, because they're really small. But we do get in there and clean that carbon out of those. And this is something that if you wanted to do in between races or in between sending your engine out to me, you know, for any kind of inspection or resize, you can definitely do this, you know, on your own if you're mechanically inclined and like to take care of this stuff. But you can remove that carbon that gets down in that ringland or in that oil groove. And any kind of, if you accidentally scratch the piston, you know, as long as the scratch is going this way, all it does is hold more oil on the side of the piston. So we'll get in here and we'll actually just run this right around. And what we're doing is we're cleaning the carbon, that hard carbon, right out. You can kind of see it kind of flakes out. You can kind of see it there, you know. So we'll clean that out, go all the way around it, and we'll go around the other one. This is the lower one I did, so make sure we're all the way around. It's amazing what you can pull out of that tiny little oil groove. And this all just kind of adds life to your engine and will make it last longer, make it perform more consistently. So, I mean, it isn't like you might not notice it, but if you do this, you know, on a regular basis, it's just going to keep your engine running stronger, longer. So, usually I'll take and spray that out a little bit. Sorry, I'm getting maybe out of camera angle, but yeah, and just kind of clean it once again like that. And now we'll kind of retest fit it. Sometimes when you clean it, you know, yeah, like it's actually really good. There we go. So like now, just after cleaning it, it's now even more. Yeah, it's a 560. But that's just because there's no residual oil on it, so it's being sticky. So now we can pretty much oil it back up and put it all back together, and the customer should have a good running engine again. Should idle better. So the signs of a worn engine or a loose engine are some high revving, like maybe mid-air off throttle, some high revving. High revving if you come into the pits, and then it idles down, and then typically it'll idle down and die, just because it doesn't have enough compression to stay lit. You know, these engines work off of compression, and once the compression is lowered to the point where it can't light the fuel, it will die. That's, you know, an idle flame out is, you know, what I call it or whatever. But yeah, so those are kind of some of the symptoms that you might need to send your engine in. We can definitely take care of it. I did a lot of engines. I got a couple coming in for Cody Bancroft. So once he gets those here, we're going to try and get those out before we head to Silver State. But yeah, some of those might not even need to be sized. He just sends them to me to take a look to make sure they're good to go for his next event that he's traveling to. So, but all right. So Corey asked me if, you know, because I do the inspections and stuff on the engines. So what we're inspecting is like crank wear, bearing tolerances, stuff like that. And he's like, well, how do you tell the bearing tolerance? A lot of times you can feel it. Like you can just roll it in your hand if you can feel a notchiness in the bearing. These particularly feel fine. They feel smooth. But, I mean, if you guys want me to take it apart quick, I can definitely do that. We have all the tools here to do that. He's got a clutch on it. We'll take that off because we want to feel isolate the rear bearing and kind of feel it with our pinky. So I'll take this clutch off. So we got that off. Loctite. And I always like to look around the bearing too, if there's any kind of kind of residual dirtiness from oil coming out of it, because that can kind of tell you, like, is your customer running his bottom end too fat and it's just pushing out, or is there, you know, too much blow by on the sleeve and it's creating a positive crank pressure and pushing oil out. There's a couple of reasons there. So I usually like take and clean that off. So then we'll isolate the front bearing, so we'll kind of feel that. Kind of put your finger on it. Feels butter smooth. Feels really good. The rear one feels butter smooth if there's any notch at all, like any. And what I'm doing is I'm actually putting a side load on the rear bearing to try and push the ball around or pull it. You'll see me kind of pull back, and I'll feel it to see if there's any kind of notchiness when I side load it. Or I'll feel just for how much slop there is in the side load, and it actually is really good. Your bearing is actually really good, in my opinion. I don't think it's. I would not do it on my own engine. I would not replace it, so I would not suggest it for you. So this one feels really good. Crank, we can. Now you should have a micrometer for this, but you can do it with a good caliper. You can actually do it. So I'll zero it back out. And what I do is I measure it at 90 degrees. So measure it, you know, and it's a 498. So then I'll measure it sideways, and it's a 499. So there's 1/10 of a millimeter, which is less than a thou, of wear, what I can detect. I mean, obviously you should have a micrometer for doing that, but we can at least get an idea. If it's like way off, it's 3 or 4/10 of a millimeter. Whoa, that's, yeah, that's enough to where, you know, we should probably do something. So this one looks good. Lots of oil residual from the fuel on it, so that's good. Yeah, we should be able to put it right back in. I'm going to do a little cleaning on it just because I have it in my hand. So this engine looks like it may have had a little dirt go through it.
It's possible.
It's possible. I can just see a little bit of barrel wear right here, and it's horizontal lines on the barrel, and that's where the carburetor is there and pulling in. And that can be, you know, number of things. Dirty filter, ran too long, or, you know, sometimes a filter that fell off. I can really tell. This one's not bad, but I can just see it. Probably wouldn't even see any of that if it was a coated crank, to be honest. So probably wouldn't see any of that. So, because normally if there's a lot of dirt ingress like that, you'll see pin size diameter, a lot of pin wear. The piston will actually be a different color. It almost looks sandblasted, the piston will. So, yeah, but I don't see any of that. Not really, you know, I would feel grittiness in the bearing, so not really too concerned with it. So that all looks good. So we'll kind of reinstall this for Corey, put it all back together. We'll let him know that he needs to put in some new clutch shoes on this thing. They're definitely last season's clutch shoes. So, oh, of course, it's going to be just mean. Somebody used Loctite. I don't ever use any. But doesn't mean you shouldn't. Just doesn't mean that I don't.
Some of us have Sasquatch grip and some of us don't.
Oh man. Slippery little sucker. So I took it off, so I should be able to put it back on. Once we get it to the point of it's tight on the collet, then we can grab it with the pliers. Channel locks, or if you have one of those cool crafty tools, I guess I could use that. I do have my RE2 wrench here somewhere. There we go. It should work on an 80 flywheel. It should. I'm not sure it will. Nope. It's just too small. So close. It does work on the Techno and the ProTech, but it's a little too small for this. So, and everybody asks how tight I go. I I usually get it pretty snug and then go another eighth a turn. Tight enough not to break the crank. So if you break the crank, I've had guys call me and say that was too tight. Feels good. We're actually going to put this clutch back together for them. Bearings actually look good, so feel good. Corey will probably replace them before the first race. Get this tightened back up for him. There was enough Loctite on it that I didn't have to reapply, so that one had plenty on it yet. Okay, so now I'm trying to clean my hands up from holding that engine. I'm going to pop this apart. Put that at top dead center, and then you kind of put that piston in there, piston and rod. That's kind of a little tricky. But there we go, got it all on there. And then usually I slowly bring it to the bottom, and then I'll install the sleeve. In the correct orientation, you want the exhaust port out the back, and a lot of them are pinned. This one happens to be pinned in the front. OS, you'll see they're pinned in the rear. Some of the Nova Rossi's are pinned on the side. So this one being pinned in the front is a little different. Okay, so that's all in there. I will take a little bit of bearing oil and just kind of oil the sleeve, any dust particles that were in there. Try and get that out of there. So yeah, that's all oiled. I usually will put a little bit right on the rod, just a drop of oil right there, just for start up, anything like that. So this, sometimes people can kind of get confused with the dots on these things, and even the Nova Rossi stuff, it just doesn't seem to like be the same. So what I do is I look at the direction of the coil, how the coil coils, and the direction of where the, what would be the ground coil hits the plug. It should be pointing out the exhaust, because the exhaust side is your hottest side of the combustion chamber, and your ground where it meets the plug, where the ground wiring meets the plug, is the coldest side of the plug. So you want the coldest side of the plug on the hottest side of the combustion burn. So yeah, so for people who, like this one, it'll have the dot on the side. Some people say that lines up with that. I would say no, just because of the orientation of that plug. Now, do plugs change orientation? Typically not. Typically they're all the same. But it doesn't mean it couldn't. So, but yeah, so I got that. That was kind of a bear to remove, remember? So we got that pushed down in there nice, and yeah, should be good. All we need is a back plate in the head, and the customer has a good running engine. Alright, so we're going to put the back plate in, and for people who maybe are a little apprehensive about taking apart their motor, the back plate, the piston does index down into the back plate, so be very careful when you install it and when you remove it, that the piston can't be down. It kind of comes into that area a little bit. The piston has to be all the way up in the combustion chamber. So you want to push that up until you can't see the piston skirt, and then put this on. Otherwise you could break the piston skirt off, and then that's no good. Motor is no longer good, no longer usable. So usually I get all these started by hand, and then I'll tighten them with the screwdriver. Corey was nice enough to bring me a nice screwdriver, because it's not too often I get on a Nova Rossi where I got to use a straight screwdriver. That's why we do that. Sometimes they don't want to go in quite straight. Alright, so we got them all started. I'm just going to kind of wheel them all down. Go through and just snug them up. Okay, so the Novarossi, I guess it goes on this direction. With the Novarossi at the back. Kind of looks like it. I kind of cheated and looked underneath there, and I could see the R that was on there, and it lines up with the button head and the orientation I put the button head on, so I think I'm pretty good. It looks like the head went on or came off this way, and it's going back on that way, so I think we did pretty good. Some of them you can tell, a lot of them obviously I can tell. This vent hole here and the vent hole in the back, that's to keep your plug cool, and that will usually go in line with the engine as the airflow. So that kind of is one giveaway. Usually there's some kind of maybe lift, or if you have the lower head that clearances the exhaust, so you'll have that versus in the front, so you can kind of tell that way also. But some don't, so they can be a little confusing, but just take your time and, you know, kind of figure out, you know, little telltale signs of what would go where. Okay, that's just snug. Come on. There we go. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get it locked into the screw head. Now these I'm not tightening up, I'm just getting them down to where I can just feel a little bit of tension. So this is the last one, so this one I'll go ahead and I'll probably tighten it as soon as it gets all the way down. There we go. So that one I'll tighten, then I'll go crisscross. Got to get it locked in here first. And about a quarter turn is all it went, so about an eighth a turn there. About a little over a quarter turn. So there, all of them are tight. Now the engine sounds pretty good. Holds itself, kind of bounces. So yeah, feels good. It's not too tight where you're going to have to spend 3 or 4 tanks re-braking it in. You'll be able to just warm it up like you would normally and fire it up. Yeah, race tune it, and you should have a good running engine. All right, so yeah, so these are 3 of the Evis machines that Techno developed when they had the block engine line. I purchased them when they decided to discontinue the block engine line, and they give you like a dyno printout. It measures the amount of torque it takes once the piston's broke in, and you can change those parameters. So if you want an engine that's more broken, if you have guys that still want to do 2-3 tanks on the track of braking, you can change that parameter so that they have to do a little bit more braking themselves. Some guys prefer to do that, other guys just want to run it. So this gives me an opportunity to do that, customize it for the customer. So yeah, we're kind of phasing up, doing more advertising for it now. So website should be opened up pretty quick, where you can go on and select what you like. Any of the engine services, between modding engines to just resizing engines, or just like bearing maintenance or anything like that, cleaning and inspection, stuff like that. So we'll all be on the website. So we're just kind of getting it all together. It's all kind of coming together here. It'd take a little bit, but yeah, we're getting there. So
cool.
Should be mid-year. I think, just to be safe before that all happens. So, and then you'll be able to buy like our engine mounts, our fan mounts. Seth's got a new receiver box battery mod for the e-buggy. So it kind of integrates the receiver box into the front battery. So like how he has his battery mounted. So it's kind of cool stuff like that we're going through and actually going to start selling. So.
It is time for the Trucky B main, and it is a stacked field. Frank Miller will lead them out from the top position on the grid. He will have his hands full with a field full of A-main capable drivers. Frank has a good getaway and safely navigates the big jump. Carter Gosh, in second, would make a tragic mistake and drop to nearly last. He has some work to do to have any chance at a transfer. Frank is looking smooth and confident out front. He is being chased by Tony Swenson, who started 7th. Tony was a big beneficiary to the jammed-up start and managed to drive around much of the carnage. Looks like Tony has his hands full with Riley Myers and Xander Johnson. There's Carter, already in 7th. Riley jumps a little wide and needs to re-enter the track. It was just enough that Xander would take advantage. David Ohm would end up on his lid, and Carter would pick up another spot. Carter is definitely running down Riley and Xander. Riley wiggles on the jump approach and shoots wide. He concedes the position knowing getting tied up will just cause him more time. These young guys are showing great respect on the track. Frank Miller is still out front and on his pit lap. Most guys will pit twice in this 20-minute race. Xander Johnson has moved into second position and will set his sights on Frank. Tony Swenson is coming under attack from Riley for the final third-place bump position. Riley misses the double and gives Tony a stay of execution. Tony would continue to create a gap to Riley, trying to secure that third place bump. Xander hits the pits ahead of Frank, so somewhere on track, Xander has made the pass and taken over the lead. He has definitely found his rhythm and continues to walk away from the field. His Reds-powered Techno, with sweep tires, is still looking stout and doesn't appear to have faded. Frank, on the other hand, has lost a little of his focus and is making some uncharacteristic mistakes. If he is not careful, he will be inviting the wily veteran Tony Swenson into his playhouse. Tony is not that far behind and continues to run consistent trouble-free laps. Unfortunately, Riley Myers has suffered a mechanical and is out of this one. Tony has kept digging and gets to within a couple car lengths of Frank. I think that was a little bit of a motivator, as Frank would buckle down and pull away to maintain a second-place finish. Carter Gosh Wald missed the bump, but made it to within 4 seconds of Tony.
Ben.
Hey man, I didn't take my anxiety meds this morning and I was having some flashbacks.
Yeah, man. Truck felt great. Kind of broke away there from the beginning. I was nervous because starting on the point, you're pretty close to that first double. So I practiced it in warm-ups. I made sure it was clear and made sure I could clear the jump. Me and Carter talked about it too because he's starting behind me. But kind of fell apart there in the end. And I was getting nervous, but found my groove.
Yeah. I saw you kind of settled back in and started to pull away from Tony, so shook off the nerves. Good job, man.
Thanks.
Hey, Xander, another awesome race.
Thank you.
You had to come from a little ways back in that one.
Yep.
But you charged and then you checked out. I keep saying the same thing in these interviews. You just get on a Sunday drive and you're gone.
I like to find my Sunday drives, just go on them.
What are you thinking, man?
I like this track, it's fun. The cars are feeling a lot better. Did a lot of work to them last night. Definitely liking them. See them all in the big show now.
What tires do you go out on?
I went on double yellow carbides.
Double yellow, okay. Yep, I'm thinking, because I need some advice, so I'll be considering that. Thank you, man.
Yep.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, Swenson, the copper bullet, you did it.
Yeah, thank you. Pulled off a third place finish there in the B main, which is good for me. So happy about that, and looking forward to the A main.
What kind of gear were you running?
AKA tires, gridiron, super soft, long wear. Red's engines, Techno NT 48.3.
Good job, man. I was happy to see a vet mixing it up with the young guns.
Yeah, I had a good start. There was a little bit of carnage at the beginning, and I got around that and got into second right away, and was able to hold on to that. So
good job,
pretty happy
man.
about that. So
The Buggy B main is up next. This race has 3 Paintworks drivers in the field. They will put at their best effort to make the top 3, but it certainly won't be easy. The grid is stacked. MNRC champion Josh Ford and many A main regulars are in the mix. Here is Carter Gosh, who started 9th on the grid, right in front of teammate Trevor Johnson. He is racing a Reedy powered team associated B4.1 with sweep tyres. Jeremy Whiting was leading, but made a mistake in the south doubles. Josh Ford would capitalize and take over duties at the point.
He's docking right now, the fastest one on the track.
This is Trevor Johnson's team associated B4.1, powered by the Protec RM engine. Frank Miller is putting in a charge, and is solidly in 4th place. Drew Dokken would suffer a mechanical, moving Frank into the bump spot, and surging renewed energy into Nick Peterson's driving, who is only a few corners behind.
Josh Ford, Jeremy Whiting, and Frank Miller looking to bump to the A. Nick Peterson about 3.5 seconds behind Frank Miller, so there's a possibility there. Frank's got to keep it clean. That blue car behind Frank is for position.
Nick would continue to take bites out of Frank's lead. He is hitting his marks, but driving in a risk-rewards fashion.
150 remaining, 150 remaining. Josh Ford, Jeremy Whiting, Frank Miller, Nick Peterson. Frank and Nick, closest battle on the track. Drew Dokken and Rob Logan now battling it out.
Nick would crash on the south doubles, but would get a quick marshal keeping him in the fight. Frank has put it into safe mode, just trying to get to the end of the race and earn the bump to the A main.
30 seconds left. Seconds to go. The battle for the bump is going through the infield.
Nick is still charging, and again is closing the gap on this final lap.
Trying to catch him. This is going to be their last lap. Oh, Frank Miller off on the inside, making it interesting. Here comes Nick Peterson. Oh man, clean, both clean through. That is the battle for the bump right there on the elevation.
He tried for some quick corners and stuffs the pipe. A valiant effort by Nick to try to steal the bump.
Hey guys, how's it going? I want to talk briefly about the new tire coming out by Sweep Racing. It's called the Birdshot. It's a low profile, multi-pin, high pin density with multiple angled different shaped pins with lots of tire siping. I'm sure it's intended for a blue groove, clean track condition. Maybe something that you would want to use after stepping down from Super Carbide to a Pixel to maybe the Birdshot before going to maybe a bar tire. They come with the V6 internal carcass, which means there's additional support inside the tire to reduce the ballooning effect. They should be a welcomed addition to the existing Sweep lineup. Foams. Let's talk briefly about the foam inserts that come in the tires. These are the new blue foam inserts, which come in all Sweep tires. I say new, but they're probably 4 years old or more, but they are top quality. They had previously had pink inserts that were softer and tended to break down quickly. They've improved that with these inserts. They're machined, they're consistent, and they do have longevity. They would rival any foam on the market today. So, wheels, Sweep wheels. Sweep wheel is stiffer than, let's just say, compare them to an associated wheel. They're a little bit stiffer. They've got a nice webbing on the face here to lock in your lock nut. And then on the back there's support structure as well. But even so, I mean, it's like a stiffer plastic, so they should hold their shape a little bit better than some wheels. Does that add fragility? No. We've used these wheels for quite a few years in cold conditions, hot conditions. We haven't broken a wheel yet, and we've had near zero stripping. If it was stripped, it was probably a user error. So yeah, I mean, the other tire, latest releases, the Super Carbide and the Nanobite, you've probably heard of those tires. Great options. The Nanobite, which has been, carving its way into pit trailers in Minnesota. It's got a diamond angled pin, and initially we thought, well, they're probably a clean blue groove track condition kind of tire. But they've surprised us. They work when there's dust on the track. They're very versatile, and I know some guys are running them kind of exclusively. The Super Carbide, a great option, a traditional fugitive type pin pattern that's so popular. It comes in many different compounds, and from soft to liquid to long wear, so lots of options. So check those out too. You can go order tires directly from Sweep Racing USA. Buggy tires are ordered 4 per pack, and you can order them completely a la carte, meaning you can order just tires, you can order tires with foams, you can order tires, foams, and wheels, and there's even a pre-glue option. So whatever you want to do, it's available. Check them out.
The Trucky A main is underway. Alan Smith is leading them out from the TQ position on the grid.
145 into this one. Alan got about a 4-second lead over Vandalen.
Alec has had a pretty good start, picking up 2 positions in the early laps. He is now sandwiched between Josh Ford and Jeremy Whiting. Alan has gone to work and begins to put a gap on second place driver Greg Barnell. Alec is in a battle with Kyosho driver Jeremy Whiting. That is Greg Barmel recovering from a mistake, dropping him into the battle with these guys. There is quite a bit of position changing, with the whole field still being bunched up, except for Alan Smith, who is reaping the rewards and continues to pull away. Alec makes a mistake in the doubles, and gives up a couple spots to Xander and Jeremy. Looks like Jordan Corton has made his way through this battle and into the 5th position. Alec executes the doubles and entry onto the straight perfectly, and pulls a little gap on the hard-charging truck of Josh Ford. Caden Hinds has been gaining momentum, and is on Alec's tail. Alec makes the move on Greg, and Caden tries to make a quick pass.
Thirteen minutes in, I got it now. Alan, Tony, Xander, Ford in the 4, Josh Ford in the 5, Alec Hinds in the 6, Greg Barmel in the 7, Kate Hinds in 8, KJ in 9, Frank Miller 10, Jeremy White in 11, Tommy Smith looks to be out.
With a fast-in lap and a quick pit by Seth, Caden makes a strategic pass on Alec to move into the 6th position. Caden has found some pace in his Techno and continues to storm forward.
Josh Ford and Jordan Corton doing battle. Josh Ford and Jordan Corton doing battle.
Alan Smith is still charging out front and hasn't let up at all. I want you to pay particularly close attention to his corner speed at the end of the pit lane stretch.
To go. I saw some people maybe doing 6s. But 12 minutes to go.
Okay, get ready, here it comes. I mean seriously, Alan, that is insanely fast. The boys have moved forward a bit, running 5th and 6th as the laps start winding down.
There's the battle for the 2 spot. Xander parks it into the pipe. 4 trucks coming in, can't get by. Don't let off the throttle when he picks it up. I know everybody's excited, but wow. 4 minutes to go. Alan Smith off the back. Your leader just trying to get around the racetrack, lap up on the field.
With only a few minutes to go, Alan has a stranglehold on this race.
3 minutes to go.
His techno truggy is putting on a clinic.
And watch it, guys.
Alan has a lap on the field, and might be attempting to back it down and run smooth to the end. A little tube tap with a nice save. He enters the off-camber too tight, and connects with the tube again.
2 minutes to go. Alan, Tony, Josh, Xander in the 4, Caden in the 5. We've got Xander right in front of him. We got Frank Miller in between.
Another uncharacteristic off-course excursion. Sometimes when you try to back it off, it throws off your rhythm. I am not sure if that is what is happening with Alan, but it is possible. Caden is putting in a charge to catch Xander, but tube contact on the sweeper slows his progress.
1:15 to go, 1:15 to go. $45 seconds to go, 45 to go.
Jordan's not far behind you though.
To go. Everyone's kind of spread out.
It's upside down. So Xander is immediately behind you, then Caden, then Jordan.
Alan Smith would take the win, followed by Tony Sletton and Josh Ford.
Tony Sletton in with 2. Josh Ford in the 3 spot.
The Nitro Buggy final is a stacked field. Seth Vandalen will lead them out from the TQ position. Seth wastes no time and puts a gap on the rest of the field. He is really in tune with this track. He simply makes it look effortless, even an aerial change executed perfectly. James Dolan has moved up a spot and is looking pretty good with his team-associated buggy. Seth continues his charge, flying by the mayhem on the back stretch. Josh Ford and Clayton Cartaluca are in a battle for the 5th position. Clayton, looking for any opportunity to make a pass. A little mistake on the rhythm section gives Josh a breather. Here comes Xander in for fuel. He is currently running in the 4th spot. That would be an unfortunate unsafe release in the pits, causing a bit of mayhem. Seth is in also, for a quick fill of VP fuel. It also looks like Lucas Lazari's buggy has retired. It appears Jeremy Whiting has suffered another mechanical issue. Certainly not the outcome he was looking for today. As the laps begin to wind down, a battle is brewing between Ben Humphrey and Xander Johnson. Ben ducks in for fuel, and Xander takes over the second place position. Seth Vandalen would take the win, with Xander Johnson and Ben Humphrey rounding out the podium.